freshman out of Rolette, Texas, will be our first vaulter.
Keep in mind that 6 gymnasts compete on each event. 1 low score can be dropped. Forming a Yurchenko vault with a full twist. Big step on that landing. Obviously, that'll be a deduction. Round off entry vault. Nice full twist. Had to pike down and actually pike down a little too much. It made her over-rotate the vault. Little off to the right as well, even on the vault table.
All right, we'll come back for her score. Now quickly to the bars. This is Orly Smooch, the leader of this team.
Who has really improved on this event. Much cleaner bar work in terms of form, legs straight, pointed toes. This is Florida's toughest event this year. It's been touch and go all year. They really only hit bars 1 meet. But they didn't keep the ball. Very clean, tuck double back, an easy dismount, but she does it extremely well. Judges are really looking for these pirouetting moves, release moves, and we're going to see bigger dismounts later, but none as clean as that last double back.
All right, Brittany Smith will be the next vaulter. The score for Megan Doolin was a 9.8. Solid start for Georgia.
Brittany Smith.
Oh, wow. Now that is a landing. That could be huge for this team. That's the type of vault that really gets the momentum going. It'll psych all the other gymnasts up to stick their vaults. That is absolutely beautiful. Oh, my gosh.
You know, she hasn't been doing well in practice. She's recovering from a severe ankle injury. And she was warming it up, and Suzanne said, you know, she's not, hasn't done this in a while. Boy, that was great.
Yeah, half in front layout out, and she really showed off that laid out position. But the landing was unbelievable.
And back to the bars now. Cherie Owens, who's a bar specialist for the University of Florida. She will be their second performer.
Look for the long, elegant swing. Many of the taller gymnasts really look exceptional on this event, especially now that they've got those bars so far apart that anybody could swing through and not hit the low bar. You really extend the long lines.
It's a full house tonight in anticipation of this great contest. Already, Georgia off to a fantastic start. Megan Doolin had a 9.8, a 9.925 to score for Smith. Here is Cherie Owens for Florida on the bars now.
And we'll see what Florida does with that. That can really pump them up. We've got a lot of freshmen competing on this event. That's a nice combination.
The score for her teammate, Orly Smooch, was a 9.8. Good start for Florida on bars.
Nice angle for you to see whether they get those pirouettes right on top of the bar, and a full twisting double back. 2 solid routines for Florida so far. They need to hit this event. Really generating some speed to go into the dismount.
Back to the vault now. Michelle Emmons from Georgia. They have a 9.8 and a 9.925, their first 2 scores so far.
Oh, she was trying for a stick there. Full twisting Yurchenko. She went out further, but just had that little hop.
And we'll be back with more exciting SEC gymnastics competition. University of Georgia, Katie Rue will be the next performer for Florida on the bars. Let's get you up to date with the scores. The score for the vault just before we went to break, Michelle Emmons from Georgia at a 9.875. The score for Cherie Owens from Florida on the bars was a 9.775. And Kathy Johnson-Clark, as you mentioned, the bars is really the make or break event for Florida in this contest.
Absolutely. They really had to count some falls throughout the season. In fact, they've been playing around with the lineup to try and find the right combination. Oh, and this was an addition. They just put her in. Oh, she's not covering well. She did cover, and she's back in the routine, but you could definitely tell she was going the wrong way and had to turn that if they can pull this back together. She came up with a pretty nice dismount, but unfortunately, early in the routine, she just went the wrong way on that one handstand and then had to get turned around and had to break form.
All right, Kelsey Erickson will be the next vaulter for Georgia. She has been, for about the last 2 days, she's been in and out of the hospital getting intravenous fluids. She has a severe virus, and so we spoke with her before the competition, and she said she has been flat on her back for a couple of days, but she's hoping to go in the all-around tonight.
She says she feels fine now, just hasn't trained last few days.
Talk about the killer instinct that Jenny Auckland is asking for. Well, all right, Katie Heenan will be up now on vault for the University of Georgia. A little lineup change here, perhaps. Perhaps some confusion. We don't quite know what's going on at this point. Katie, of course, we featured her in the top of the show, a world medalist, an elite gymnast, and she loves competing in college. Many of these former elite athletes love the team aspect of collegiate gymnastics.
They've had to focus so much on themselves and themselves only, and competing against other teammates to qualify for teams. But it is a fun change. Very nice vault. Your Checo full. That will be scored from a 10.0. That's one of the areas where many of the coaches are talking about a change in the code of points. They would like to see this vault lowered by a 10 because so many of the gymnasts are now performing it. It's really hard to separate the athletes on this event when they're all performing the exact same vault. We want to see some variety.
Back over to the bars now, Ashley Reed for Florida. The score for Katie Rue was a low 9.425.
Very beautiful form on the double layout. Nice and straight throughout both somersaults. Here's her transition from the high bar down to the low bar. Just missed that handstand. You really want to see it land right in the handstand position, but this was the highlight of the routine. Beautifully straight in that double layout and an excellent landing.
As we mentioned, you drop one low score. Florida already has a low score, the 9.425, so the rest of their athletes have to be solid. Back to the vault this time now. We see Kelsey Erickson, who has had a couple of great all-around performances the last couple of weeks, and she is the young lady who had been dealing with this viral condition that has left her weak.
She had a terrific freshman season. Named SEC Freshman of the Year. Second team All-American on the uneven bars. A little judges conference going on here. Either that or they're figuring out where they're going to go for dinner after the competition.
Of course, gymnastics is a subjectively judged sport. The judges have to agree within range on the scores for certain vaults. Collegiate gymnastics rules are different than the Olympic rules. That's why these scores are much higher than what you saw perhaps at the Olympics in Athens. Here is the update over there on the bars for Florida. You see that 9.9 for Ashley Reed, a clutch performance that will certainly replace the 9.425. So they still need two strong performances from Samantha Lutz and Breanne King, which they normally get from them. But the pressure on them on the bars in their first rotation.
Hard to say what's going on. Very unusual to see this. It just doesn't happen. It's especially in a dual meet. It's usually just one right after the other. I think there's a problem possibly with the equipment. It looked like they were pointing at the
I agree.
scoring.
The head scoring table over there, the officials are also conferring perhaps something wrong with the computer scoring system. Once they sort all this out, we'll be back to Athens, Georgia. Don't go away. More exciting gymnastics tonight on ESPN2. Score for Katie Heaton was a 9.85.
After all that, she's got a good ball. Had to take that little step. Nice in the air. Now we're going to see probably a bigger vault in terms of amplitude. Usually you see them up over the horse as they finish the somersault and the twist. She's a little bit below the level of the horse. It was a clean vault.
Now to the bars. This is Breanne King, another all-arounder for Florida. 4 all-arounders in the contest tonight for them. She's out of Canada.
Nice combination there.
See the assistant coach Randy Lane there, spotting on the dismount.
Oh, got a little bit sloppy on that last giant with a full pirouette. Legs came apart, but pulled out. This was the best part of the routine, that combination right there. And this team has really worked hard on this event, trying to add some difficulty, clean it up, stick the landings, and most important, hit these routines in competition.
Give the ball to Ashley Coupets.
In the air, little low sit on the landing, but she pulled it out.
What a talent.
A veteran.
A lot of gymnasts would have ended up on their seat, but she is brilliant in the air.
Absolutely, and very strong. But most important, like you said, like a cat in the air, she knew exactly where she was, and most gymnasts would have sat it down. She pulled out a good landing.
Now, typically, the vault scores are higher than the bars, so we expect Georgia will come out with a lead. The question is how much of a lead, and can Florida recover? They have looked less than fantastic on the bars so far.
But amazingly, this is actually better than some of the competitions they've had so far on the uneven bars. They've actually had missed routines where they've counted a fall.
They did have a chance at the Super 6 Challenge to win it all, and 2 of their young freshmen missed dismounts, which cost them. Here are the scores for Georgia. The vault there that you just saw for Ashley Coupets, ironically enough, was the lowest score, 9.75, so they will have a spectacular vault team score coming out of the first rotation. Here are the scores for Florida on the bars. Actually, not so bad considering bars is typically a lower scoring event. Breanne King had that 9.75. We'll be back with the updated scores after the first rotation and more. We see Brittany Tomey getting ready to perform on the bars for Georgia. We're joining the competition in rotation 2. Scores prior to that, 9.85 for Nikki Childs, Megan Doolin, a 9.725. Brittany Tomey set out much of last year because of an elbow injury, and she's performing only on the bars tonight.
Pirouette right on top of the bar. I think she does it very well.
Oh, no.
Just a little too far from the bar. And that's a biggie, 0.5 of a point. Obviously, this will be the score they want to drop. Very stretched out body, but she kind of let go a little too soon. So her momentum carried her out away from the bar. Just far enough that she couldn't get her fingertips on. Well, she got her fingertips on, but nothing else.
This is the only event she's competing on for Georgia tonight. Oh, my goodness. Oh.
Yeah, he said that's it.
Well, hopefully she's okay. She's had some injuries in the past. That's why she's competing just on the bars tonight.
Boy,
that's really unusual.
Yeah, just wonder if pretty good landing. Another Yurchenko full.
We're going to see a lot of those Yurchenko fulls tonight, aren't we?
Absolutely. You can't blame them. You know, it's a 10-0 vault. It's one that's easy to come up with a good landing. You see the landing for so long as you drop down.
All right, so solid performance there. Typically a solid all-arounder. Katie Rue for Florida.
Both teams really need a big pick-me-up right now. They need a big routine with a completely stuck landing, just like that vault we saw. I really thought that was going to set them up for huge routines. And I think they just lost a little bit of their oomph.
Katie Heenan, you saw she had a 9.85 on her vault. She's just a freshman, competed 4 times this year in the all-around. That's unusual to use a freshman so much in her opening season, but she's been a real solid performer.
Especially at Georgia. Suzanne really likes to count on her upperclassmen and get the freshmen in slowly, but make sure that when they get in there, they hit, so that they learn how to compete under pressure and really come up with a big routine when they need it.
Well, this is a little unusual, as you mentioned, Kathy. There are some judging delays. There's some confusion here, which is atypical of an event here in Athens.
Yeah. It's like it sucked the air out of the arena, too. They need to pick it back up.
It's hard on the athletes.
Very hard on the athletes.
Katie Heenan, of course, she won a bronze medal on the bars at the World Championships back in 2001 for the U.S. national team. This is, oh my goodness.
Boy, was she smart to flip. Can you believe that? I mean, duck under. That is knowing where you are, because she peeled. We call that a peel in gymnastics. And her hands just whipped off the bar. I mean, I don't even think she tried to flip it. She just flipped her.
Wow.
But she ducked under, which is nice. Saved herself right there. Nice transition. That's the way that skill was supposed to be done. Right to a handstand on the low bar. This has nice swing, very tight body. Oh, that's a shame. They needed that routine, too. They really needed a big one from her. Now they're going to count a break.
After the mistake for Brittany Tomey, she had only an 8.15 when she got injured, so this was a critical performance.
Huge.
All right, here are the scores on the bars so far for Georgia. That 8.15 to be dropped. Katie Heenan, unfortunately, made a mistake. The top 5 of the 6 scores add into the team total. You can have one mistake, but you can't have more than one.
And if Florida's smart, they'll rally right now, get in a huddle, talk about it, and this is their chance to push.
Talked about the make or break event, the bars. You don't expect Georgia to have trouble at home. This is quite unusual. 9.8 the score for Katie Rue's vault. So as you can see, Florida quite solid there. All right, we go back now to the bars. Kelsey Erickson out of Cincinnati, Ohio. She was a several-time member of the U.S. national team, and we saw her in the first rotation. Her vault score was a 9.825. They need a great performance right here. Can she do it?
Not only for the team and for the score, but bring the audience back in with them.
Score for her teammate, Katie Heenan, was a 9.275. This is critical.
And she knows it. Georgia crowd getting behind her. Come on. That's what they're saying. Seeing if she can stick this dismount and get them going again. Very pretty dismount. Not quite the stuck landing that I'm sure she would have liked. But a hit. Good handstand position throughout this routine. You know, her heart was jumping a little bit on that release move. Gotta catch, gotta catch. A little bit of pressure here. You'll notice a different technique that gymnasts use on this vault, and she didn't use the one where you actually see the floor before you go into the front somersault. Right. She ducks her head here, and that just makes this a more blind landing.
Savannah Evans, the SEC Gymnast of the Week. She is a floor and vault specialist currently for Florida. Tough vault to land, as you mentioned.
So most of the gymnasts now are really using, though, that almost like a spot. After the half twist, you see them almost look and then rotate around their head, so they really have a focal point. So their body knows where they are.
The next performer on the bars for Georgia will be Ashley Kupets. Many gymnastics fans know, of course, her younger sister, Courtney Kupets, was a two-time medal winner at the recent Olympics in Athens. She has signed a letter of intent and will join her big sister at Georgia next year. That's a great addition to their program.
Yeah, I asked her, Ashley, how her sister's doing. She goes, she wants to be here. She's ready. She's ready to come.
The score for Erickson, a 9.8, so they need one more strong score here if they hope to stay ahead of Florida.
Nice combination. She has been so steady for Georgia, very consistent. And a good strong leader for them this year. Nice tuck double back. She's got some back pain that's been bothering her. She's actually going to compete in the all-around for the first time this season. Just does a tuck double back, and I think that's why we're seeing the give in the landings. She actually had an injection in her back to help alleviate the pain, which is what is allowing her to vault now and to tumble for the floor routine.
All right, as exhibition performances continue here in the arena. Ashley Reed. Katie Rue, the first performer, had a 9.75.
Huge opportunity for Florida here. This is when you have to take advantage of the other team's mistakes.
This is her new routine. She just worked on it this last week.
She needed a more upbeat, livelier routine. So she came up with it.
They brought in their choreographer, Amy Smith, to help pep up this floor routine. Unusual choreography, but I expect we can find somewhere along in here the gator chop, which will
not go over quite as well here as it does in Gainesville. Might get the biggest response they've had on it.
It's very unusual music. It's not your typical routine.
Oh, kind of fun. Right at the end. See, there's the booze. They don't like that gator chop here.
Hey, perhaps that's smart choreography. Do it at the end so you don't get booed through the rest of the routine.
They came prepared. They knew it would happen.
Good job for Ashley Reed out of Orlando Metro Gymnastics. She's from Davie, Florida. And she's just one of their star freshmen. All right, to the beam now. Scores so far over there, 9.175 for Michelle Evans. This is
a tough
Smith.
Tough rotation so far for Georgia. Two low scores. They'll have to count one at least. Just had a break on that layout.
Megan Dowling had a 9.275. Judges looking for a combination of acrobatic and dance skills. Combinations are very important.
Nice angle to check out every once in a while. Not quite 4 inches wide. Depending on how you feel that day, sometimes it looks like a sidewalk, sometimes it looks like a tightrope. Right now, it probably feels like a tightrope to the Georgia team. They're under some pressure here. Went in behind. Had some breaks throughout each of the routines. They're hoping this one will get them back on track.
To the floor now, Florida. This is Samantha Lutz. Ashley Reed had a 9.85, so Florida doing well there. While Georgia struggles on the beam.
Interesting musical transition.
From this Georgia crowd. Samantha Lutz happy with her performance, as is Lewis Robinson Jr. More gymnastics from the University of Georgia when we come back. Back in Georgia now. On the beam, Nikki Giles. Georgia needs some clutch performances here, right now.
And she can come up with it. She's absolutely gorgeous on this event.
Just a freshman, Plano, Texas.
Really brings a lot of class to this event.
Last week, she won the Most Valuable Player Award. Against Kentucky, she got a 9.85 in a clutch performance, much like what she needs to deliver here.
Very elegant, poised. Very pretty routine, just elegant, nice form, nice style. And she does it again.
I hear the music in the background. It's really just merely background music, but in some ways it almost fits the performance. Not intended to be that way.
Up next, for the University of
Combination into the dismount.
All right, to the floor now. The score, by the way, for Samantha Lutz was a 9.8. You see Orly Smooch, as can be predicted, the solid member of this team. 2 good scores so far today.
And she lights up, whether she's competing for a home crowd or an unfriendly one. She just sparks.
Recently named to the Maccabea team. She'll compete in Israel this summer. And of her senior year.
Probably the strongest routine so far.
And perhaps she smartly did not do the gator chop to
she did it.
Ignite this crowd. I didn't hear the boo. Maybe she snuck it in because 9,000 people didn't react.
It's right before a little jump, and so it was a little sneaky.
Subtle.
Good strong finish with a tuck double back.
All right, quickly to beam. Boy, this action is moving fast here. Kelsey Erickson. The score for Nikki Childs, as you predicted, Kathy, 9.925.
Solid routine.
Gutsy young lady. We mentioned earlier in the show, she's been on IVs this week, recovering from the viral infection. 3 great performances when they needed them today.
And you better believe they'll be talking about that in the locker room. That's coming up with it.
9.85 was the score for Orly Smooch. Now, Brianne King, also competing in the all-around tonight. You saw her scores. 5-time member of the Canadian national team. She's just a sophomore.
Take a little deduction on that landing.
You notice that extra mat is called a sting for the purpose of taking the sting out of the ankles. It's allowed in a competition like this. No deduction for it.
Very good routine. I like the music. Suited her extremely well. This unfortunately will be a deduction. Just a little fumbling on the landing. She was quick to recover, but definitely the judges saw it. Best part of the routine really was the choreography, the use of the music.
All right, Katie Heenan mounted the beam. You saw her scores there, 9.85, 9.275 for the fall off the uneven bars. Luckily she was okay, but this is a real test of her competitive spirit. score for Kelsey Erickson, a 9.85. So they have come back strong after 2 very weak performances to start the rotation.
That's what team gymnastics is all about. That's what all the coaches are trying to instill in their athletes. It's not over till it's over.
Look at this crowd, 9,951 on hand. All the pressure on freshman Katie Heaton on the beam hole.
She's competed in front of the whole world, though, so she probably brings a little bit of experience, but it is different. It absolutely is different.
For the University of Florida, on-floor exercise, Savannah Evans.
Really had to come up with a good one. Tuck double back dismount.
Savannah Evans, her 9.95 last week allowed her to clinch the victory for her team over Alabama. Can she deliver tonight against Georgia? For her teammate was a 9.775. So far, the low score for Florida on the floor, 9.75. How can you not cheer for Cotton Eye Joe?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care where you are.
Competition has concluded on the internet. However, each team will have a gym perform an exhibition. The first match,
The SEC Gymnast of the Week, Savannah Evans, delivers. All right, to the beam quickly for Florida. Orly Smooch, you see her terrific team scores there.
And they really have to stay calm at this time. They have a huge lead in terms of gymnastics. That's a point. It's very large. But when you're on balance beam, you can't get too excited. You can't count your chickens before they hatch. One move at a time. And that's when it's good to have your senior going at first, set the pace.
How critical is that first performance?
Absolutely, and then she'll stand on the sidelines and keep them focused, especially the freshmen.
2 in competition on floor exercise for the University of Georgia.
Does some pretty good gymnastics and adds some difficulty, particularly at the end of the routine, double back. Many of the gymnasts are opting out of the more difficult dismounts, doing the easier ones, going for the stick.
First up for Georgia on the floor, Brittany Smith.
Really showed us an unbelievable landing on that first event, and I really thought at that moment that was going to take Georgia and just send them into the stratosphere.
Recovering from an ankle injury. Three-time member of the U.S. national team out of Houston, Texas.
she comes up with really good landings. Very clean, very solid. This is just pretty gymnastics. Very elegant in the pike position, toes pointed. Same thing on the last pass, just really good execution.
Back to beam now for Florida. Ashley Reed, you see her solid scores for the Gators tonight. The score for Orly Smooch was a 9.75 in that critical first performance. Let's keep in perspective the team score here. Florida, as you mentioned, has a huge lead in college gymnastics, over 1.1. They need 5 excellent performances. They can afford 1 mistake, maybe even 2 mistakes. But the pressure of the beam in the final rotation is enormous. Kathy, you've been there.
You don't want to be there again. When it's your time, it's a good thing. Most gymnasts, once they reach this level, they thrive on that kind of pressure. Especially when you've got a team counting on you. Oh, that is too bad. I like that they're going for harder dismounts. Boy, that's unfortunate.
You saw her say she missed her foot.
So solid throughout the routine. Really went for a much more difficult dismount.
Oh.
And it just was off. It was off. Off from the very beginning.
To the floor, Nikki Childs. You saw that 9.925 she delivered on the beam. Just a freshman. They could use a big score right now, especially after Florida makes a mistake on the beam.
Can you tell she's enjoying college gymnastics? This is great. Beautiful lead.
Remember speaking to her former coach, Evgeny Marchenko in Texas, and he said she is the most delightful kid in the gym every day with a bright attitude and positive outlook.
I have to ditto that remark. USA Gymnastics has a wonderful program, a mentoring program, where they pair former national team members with current, and she was my mentee. And I have enjoyed so much communicating with her. She's just a very up individual. You can see it in her performance. She is having the time of her life in college. And doing some very nice gymnastics. As I said, she brings such class to Georgia Gymnastics. A little different style than they've had in the past, and I think they're loving it.
That should be a good score. To the beam now, Katie Rue. With the exception of that low score on the bars, has been pretty solid tonight for Florida. They had their 1 mistake. They cannot afford many more. They hope to hold off Georgia tonight. Georgia doing well on floor. In 2004, she was a second-team All-America athlete on this event.
Pace was very good through the routine. She stayed very calm. It's so easy to get ahead of yourself in a situation like this. They can beat Georgia for the first time ever at home. And that must be an amazing feeling, but you've got to keep it in perspective and stay focused. Just a gainer off the end. Starting to see many more of those.
Ashley Ashley Coupette's now for Georgia on the floor. She is
First time
springing.
on the floor exercise all season. Boy, is that big. She's even watered down. Just to get her back in the floor exercise. She's been competing only 2 events for them all season long. Wow, how has she pulled these out?
Oh my goodness, she is just a brilliant talent.
Yes.
We'll come back for her score and we'll see the final routines in this 4th rotation here. Back now on the beam. Brianne King. All of her scores in that 9-7 range and above.
I like that mount on balance beams, kind of a blast to the past. Straddle back. Very smooth on this event.
Very different challenges for Georgia and Florida right now. Florida just hoping to be solid. They don't need big 9-9s there, but they can't afford a disaster on the beam. Georgia needs huge scores on the floor in the remaining performances.
Solid routine.
Did her job.
Yep, exactly.
Rhonda Fain and her team could be on the verge of a huge upset here tonight.
Double twist, same dismount that we saw from her earlier teammate who had the fall. Suzanne loves to have. She loves powerful gymnasts, very strong and competitive.
A little recap on the scores so far. They've been great for Georgia. 9.825 for Smith. Childs had a 9.875. Ashley Coupette's a 9.775.
Tumbling we've seen in the competition.
She really has great technique. She really gets off the floor effectively.
You can see the technique too. It just really stands out. The takeoff is superb.
Oh, to the beam. Erin Dooley, this is the only event she's competing on tonight. She's a senior, has had problems with her ankle.
This unfortunately has a stress fracture in her foot. It's the navicular bone, a very, very difficult bone to heal.
Six-time All-America.
Oh, no. And never, I'm talking never misses this event. She had 33 straight, I believe. She missed one time this season. It was the first time.
A lot of international experience, 4 years on the national team. Had a 9.8 on this event last week, so reminder of how the scores have gone there. 9.75 for Smooch. Reed had a 9.3. That's the score they hope to drop. Katie Rue a 9.8. Brianne King a 9.825.
Erin really had an amazing year last year, her best in her collegiate career. 4-time All-American. The all-around vault, beam, floor, she just really had an outstanding year and looked to have a great senior year. So, unfortunate injury, it's limited her training. Well, yeah, she was off on the back handspring. You could see a torque in her hips and really hard to pull that back on.
Into the floor, Katie Heenan. Her only low start tonight on the bars after that slip. The score for her teammate, Kelsey Erickson, a 9.925. Georgia pouring it on the floor, while Florida struggles on the beam.
All right, fun music, fun choreography.
Loved it. To be their final performer. They've already had 2 low scores, a 9.3 and a 9.2. They're squandering that rather comfortable 1.1 lead as Georgia rocks on the floor.
Thought about wiggling. Gave it a little one and then said, let's get serious. A lot of time on being in your head. You really, really have to train for this type of pressure. Stay completely focused. Even on the simple moves. I've often been asked by non-gymnastics people if this is the hardest event. I always thought it was the easiest event to do, the hardest to compete. But when one does, it's a thing of beauty to see someone really stay focused under pressure.
Oh.
And it built to some pretty serious pressure there for the last routine.
Fane wants to know if it's going to be enough. They're adding up the scores. Michelle Emmons will be the final performer of the night for this contest. The score for Katie Heenan before her was another 9.925. Huge scores on the floor for Georgia here.
Oh, a giant double layout.
Michelle Emmons, the senior out of Houston, Texas.
A lone senior on this very young Georgia team. This is the type of team that Suzanne wanted to see. They've shown it on floor. They pulled it back together, came on strong.
Competition for team scoring has now concluded. Each team will have a gymnast in exhibition. So it's back to the balance beam where...
Well, everybody's waiting on the score.
Come on, let's hear
Suzanne
it.
Yocklin says, get this thing finished. We want to see those scores and where we end up. For Florida, the final score on the beam was Samantha Lutz, as Rhonda Fain watches one of her athletes go through an exhibition performance that they allowed them to do at the end of the official rotation to get experience in front of this kind of crowd. I think it's a great idea that they allow them to do exhibition. But most folks are waiting on the final numbers. 9-9-2-5 for Michelle Emmons. That's the third score of 9-9-2-5. And folks, how about that? History in the making. Florida has never beaten Georgia here at Stegman Coliseum in the 22 years that Suzanne Yocklin has been in charge of the program, but they do it tonight ever so slightly.